We are live here at the Bloomberg Power Players Conference at the Bloomberg Global Headquarters, 731 Lexington Avenue, 58th Street. Man, we got a lot of smart people running around here. A lot of interesting conversation about the world of global sport. This one you don't want to miss. David Rubenstein joins us here. He is a co-founder and co-chairman of the Carlyle Group and owner of the Baltimore Orioles, as well as Cal Ripken Jr. talking about those O's. Baseball Hall of Famer, founder and partner of Ripken Baseball. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here. We got a lot of sports people running around. We've been talking about women's basketball, women's soccer. Let's talk a little bit Major League Baseball. You guys are up a game in the win column on my Yankees. It's going to be a great last few weeks of the year. David, I want to start with you here. You own the Orioles here. What are you doing? Why are you buying a sports franchise?
Well, in this case, I grew up in Baltimore, and I wanted to give back to Baltimore a bit, and I thought the team could maybe use rejuvenation in some way, and it's part of rebirth of Baltimore. Baltimore is trying to rebuild itself in many ways from some of the struggles it's had, and I thought a new ownership group would probably be helpful, so I did it for that reason, and obviously I hope to make money as well for myself and my investors, but it's more of a philanthropic thing on my part than anything else. And
Alix, he's got a few partners there, including Mr. Bloomberg, who owns this radio program.
Ah, okay.
How about that?
How about that?
How about
Circular
that?
forces.
Exactly. All comes back together. Cal, talk to us about the Orioles. Boy, man, I'm a Yankees fan, so I'm looking at them every day. Man, they look good. Tell us about this team.
It's an exciting young team to watch, talent all over the place. We've had little problems with injuries in our pitching staff, but when you have a deeper minor league system, sometimes when somebody gets hurt, it's an opportunity for someone else. So they're playing really well. And it's interesting when many owners come in to buy a team, the thing they have to fix is what's happening on the field. In our particular case, that's the best part about the investment is that Mike Elias has done a really good job of creating an environment, a culture that knows how to win, knows how to play, and he's put talent in the system. So the good part is you just take your hands off of it and say, just keep going. And hopefully the luck factor with David will, in the very first year, we'll take that all the way to the World Series.
Can I ask you a really dumb question?
Yes.
Why is investing in sports like a good business? And I say that because at some point we're going to reach the top, right? Like there's so much money coming in. How do you know that?
Well, over the last 10 or 15 years, it's been very difficult for somebody to buy a major league professional sport operation and lose money. People have made staggering sums. Now, of course, that tends to attract more money, and as you suggest, at some point there's always a peak. But right now, the interest in sports is so dynamic that the live television, despite your view and my view that live television should focus on interview shows, actually it focuses on live sports. And live sports is what's keeping television alive, really. So if you take a look at the NFL, for example, I think of the 50 most watched television shows last year, 45 of them were NFL games. And now baseball sees a lot of people, has a lot of people watching as well. So there's a view that as the population increases and as other things seem to be less attractive, sports is still very, very attractive. And so the TV contracts are going up. And as a result, for example, the NBA just negotiated $77 billion worth of contracts. It's expected in 2 years that the NFL will top that number. So that's what is driving it. And also it's a global phenomenon. People now are buying sports teams not only in their own country, but everywhere in the world. And so it's really not just a U.S. phenomenon.
So can I have a simple, all you have to do is to look at the health of sports is to look at the salaries of the players.
Yeah.
And I guess I've become one of those players saying, man, I wish I played in this era.
It always goes up. I mean, I'm like everybody else. It's got to top out somewhere, yet it just keeps going higher. Cal, how has the game on the field changed? The kids today that you watch at Camden Yards, still, by the way, I would argue one of the best parks in Major League Baseball, 25 years on. But how's the game changed today versus when you played?
Well, I mean, the analytics have taken over, and all the data and all the information. And I was an analytical player, and I took the data from, but there's no way that I was getting all the sort of data that you can get now. And the trick is, and this is the fun part about learning, the game hasn't changed much because the diamond's the same, the bases are the same, the mound's the same. The game is played the same way. But with all this influx of new data, teams feel that they have an advantage when they extract some of the data and then use that to help them play in the game. But the secret is, how do you give the data to a player to make him a better player? And that's the part that I'm having fun with, is learning what the data affects the philosophy of how you play the game. And that's changed. And positioning on the field, different old philosophies have kind of gone out the window because they've been proven not to be effective. So it's interesting to watch the game from that perspective, but it is all about the data, the numbers. They track everything that moves on that field.
It's amazing, and that's AI, that's big data coming into sports. And Alex, I'm sure you know this, but Cal has he has a little record out there. He played a lot of games in a row. He never took a day off. Okay, like that is something that just. It'll never be broken now.
So
given the way it's
I wish
changed.
I was wearing probes or something that could figure out how I could do that, because I'm asked all the time, how in the world you play all those games in a row, and I don't know.
Well, I guess my question would be, with the analytics, that's never going to happen again. Not even going to get close.
Well, I think they're predicting now, at least in a medical sort of way, when that you might be inclined to have an injury.
Right.
And so if they start to think that you might have an injury, then they put you on the list a little early, the injury list a little early, and they're looking at the long term as opposed to the short term. But
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
There's the one thing that's hard to measure is what's inside your heart. I mean, your
so
guts and how you go about playing the game, how you compete. That's not measurable right now. And I think that's what drove me is when you're an everyday player, the definition of an everyday player when I played was every day. I had the body type in which to do it. I healed really well, and I could play through pain. And when you find out that you can play through being less than 100%, because I would argue that even if you play 140 games, you're still playing at less than 100%. Maybe the only time you're 100% is the first day of spring training.
Right.
And then you end up moving towards the year. So that's the hard part where that's not measurable.
Yep.
And I like to see players that push through and force themselves to play every game to
I
see,
do too.
to see how they do it.
You don't see that too much anymore. Hey, David, and aside from the Orioles, you've got a day job here, co-founder and co-chairman of the Carlyle Group. Perfect time to ask you this question. I know you bought the Orioles as an individual as part of a partnership.
Right.
Now private equity, the NFL has allowed private equity to come in as part ownership. What do you think about that?
Well, Carlyle is one of the groups that's permitted, so I guess I am happy for it.
Yes.
I think that it was inevitable because the prices of NFL teams have gone up so much that it's very difficult to find somebody by himself or herself who can buy a team any longer. The last team that was sold, the Washington Commanders, went for $6 billion. It's a large amount of money. Very few people can buy that by themselves. So you need to have a consortium of people to do this, and private equity is a big pot of capital sitting there. But the deals are ones where you have to be 10%, no involvement in the day-to-day management, and you have to hold for at least 6 years. So NFL is experimenting. We'll see how it goes.
So, Cal, you have had minor league investments, but this is the first time that both of you have had major league investments. How did this come about? Like, how did the partnership come about? How's it going? Walk us through it.
Well, the owner of the team for the last 30 years was the Angelos family. I had talked to them over last summer about a possible sale, and it came to be, but I wanted to have people in the consortium that were more connected to Baltimore and baseball than maybe I was, because I had grown up in Baltimore, but I haven't lived there for a while. So I talked to a number of people in Baltimore, and some of the people who were also connected with the Orioles. And obviously, the first call I made was to Cal Ripken. He said he would like to invest and also help us in other ways, which he's doing. So I think it's worked out quite well, and win-win for Baltimore and for our
And Cal, that was like
team.
a no-brainer for you? Picked up the call, you're like, yep,
Absolutely no-brainer. I felt like I've been an Oriole through and through my whole life. I mean, I grew up in and around the Baltimore area. My dad was in with the Orioles. The first 14 years of my life, he was a minor league manager. And then you have a dream to be a player. You get drafted by the team you want to get drafted by. You play your whole career with that team. So I know that I went off for a little while, and you buy minor league teams, you learn about business in other ways. You put your head down. You don't pay much attention to what's happening at the Orioles. But when David called, it was an opportunity to get back in to look at it from the inside, looking out. And I'm really surprised that I'm way into it now. I used to think the whole world revolved around baseball, and then you get out and you realize it doesn't. But then now it seems like the world revolves around baseball again.
Of course. And to put it in context for those who don't know the record, Lou Gehrig played in 2,130 consecutive games. People thought that was the unbreakable record. Cal Ripken did 2,632 games over 17 years, not missing one day. And all of us who work day to day for a living in non-athletic things, can you imagine going to work 17 years in a row without missing a day?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cal, what do you think the Orioles need to work on over the next couple of years here? Again, I'm looking at the record. The record is great. what do you think they need to work on? Is it minor league? Is it?
No. We have a minor league that's stocked with talent, and you can only, if you develop 3 shortstops in the minor leagues, you can only play one of them.
Yep.
So many times the talent that you have in the minor leagues is used to trade to get the pieces that you need at the big league level, and the Orioles are in good position for that. They have young players that are going to be superstars, that are already superstars, and maybe the biggest challenge in the future is how do you keep them?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, no salary cap here, so it's tough,
like you pay 'em,
tough
right?
to keep the star players, right?
Yes, unlike football or basketball, there's no salary cap in professional baseball, so you can get contracts that are as high as $700 million. And so it's hard for smaller cities to compete in that domain somewhat.
All right, we'll have to see how that plays out. Really appreciate you two gentlemen stopping by. David Rubenstein, he's a co-founder and co-chairman of the Carlyle Group. He's now the owner of the Baltimore Orioles. And Cal Ripken Jr., the Cal Ripken Jr., Baseball Hall of Famer, founder and partner of Ripken Baseball. Appreciate you two gentlemen taking a couple minutes of your time to stop by here at our Bloomberg Sports Power Conference.